great conductor. So fitting of a name for me. I conducted my rise, I conducted my fall, only to find out that I wasn't the great conductor at all. I rose like smoke, I filled the air, and if you dare breathe me in, you would choke on your own despair. Not at first. At first you'd get a breath of fresh air, a gentle touch, I'd be your crutch holding you up, making you feel like the skies are limitless. Because with these wings, you can fly free and become everything you dreamed. Because I am the great conductor of all things. I'll build you up, tell you how beautiful you are in your darkest parts. I understand your wants, and I know where it hurts, and exactly how to heal you from the scars of the earth. From the last split end on the back of your hair to the corn on your right pinky toe. I conduct from the rooter to the tutor. That's all I know. I am the great conductor, here to save you from your own dilemma, insecurities that push you far from healing. I am your menace. Just give me a minute, and like a freight train, it's hard to stop coming once I'm in it. All aboard! Who's going to shore? I'll pick you up at point A, drop you off at point B, the whole while you got your seatbelt on ready for the long haul. All I gotta do is keep the train on the track, y'all. But the great conductor isn't the type of conductor you thought. That fresh air you breathed in, just a mirage. Not intentionally. I really am sweet, I'm caring, I'm kind. I'll put your needs before mine. I too was thrusted into a world. But see, I was left behind by a mother and a father. My conductors hopped off the train, I never saw them. And my train hopped off the track and I searched for a way back. You see, I searched for love in the streets, giving them all of me, trying to find somebody somewhere to tell me I was worthy. I searched for it in between the legs of the misfortunate. I found a spot to get my glory until she divorced me. Not just my ex-wife, shit, they all left me. Even I divorced myself from myself. Because out of my brokenness, I kept picking up brokenness, squeezing it tight until it sliced open my chest. Ah! I cut myself with broken people and broken pieces, trying to put them back together. You see, I am the great conductor of everything that's not me. That's how I knew where to touch you where it hurt before you even spoke it. That's how I knew how to wipe that tear from the inside, that place you always tried to hide. That's how I knew how to pull you up out the mud and give you what you always wanted, to be accepted, to be hugged, to be loved. You see, that's the conductor in me. Because I prayed day and night wishing that somebody would give those things to me. I thought somehow taking care of you was going to fix me. What do they tell you to do when you're on the plane and the oxygen mask fall from the sky so you can breathe? If you can't save yourself, you can't save nobody else. And I'm steady giving you air, forsaking my own. Y'all, the conductor, he's knocked out. He couldn't breathe on his own. Now, whether he had one too many, who knows? Check all the stash spots, see what he's got. Check for a needle mark or a crack pipe or an empty bottle laying around. He's trying to hide it. Oh, you didn't know? He's supposed to be in recovery. Well, he's been trying to recover since he was 17, but he keeps getting cut by broken pieces he picks up in the streets. He thinks he's conducting reality, but really he's just conducting dreams. Still trying to get himself from point A to point B. And I don't even think he realizes alone he'll never make it. Because he suffers from a disease that takes a team to defeat, and the only place to get that team is in recovery with people that are recovering. I am the great conductor, master of all illusions. But I have yet to master myself. I need help.
Wow. Oh, my goodness. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of The Spotlight. Episode 20, the big 2-0. My name is Jerome Boateng. I am your host for today. And what you just heard was an excellent poem from the great conductor. We're going to hear all about Tremaine Payne's story coming up soon. But first, I have an excellent artist. He goes by the Fly Artist. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the Spotlight, Jordan Brown. What's going on, boss man?
Hey, fantastic, man. Good to be here. How you doing?
Man, I'm doing excellent. I'm doing great, man. I can remember one of my first vivid memories of you.
Okay.
And you know how wide and expansive the poetry community is, right?
Yeah, it is.
So it was just one of those times where, I recognized your face, but I did not know your name. And then you was just like, "Oh yeah, you don't really know who I am, do you?" And I was just like, "Dang, I ain't really know." Nah, that's all good. But then I was just like, "Nah, I gotta make it known that Jordan Brown is one of those poets, man." So
Yes,
I'm definitely
sir.
glad that you're on the show today, boss man. You're from Atlanta, right?
Yes, I'm from Atlanta. Atlanta is home. I always say I rep Atlanta like I was born in Grady. However, I actually wasn't born at Grady. I'm actually California born. So California is my
Ah,
birth state, but Atlanta is my home. Georgia's my home state for sure.
word, man. When'd you come to Georgia?
I originally came to Georgia at 5 years old. My mother divorced my dad, and she got remarried here in Atlanta. And my stepdad moved us out to Decatur. I went to Renfro Middle School, which changed to Sarah Smith, right there on Glenwood Drive. So I moved here. I think it was '98.
Yeah, man. How's the East Side influenced your path when you grown up?
Atlanta. My mom moved to Atlanta from California because she wanted a metropolitan, cosmopolitan city, and for me, that's what Atlanta represented. Delta Airlines being here, being that you can take off from here and go anywhere. That's what I did. I actually got a chance to live overseas, and
Yeah.
how we got there was Atlanta was the gateway for that journey, and so it taught me that Atlanta you can go anywhere in the world, and most likely you're gonna go through Atlanta.
And yeah, man, we were talking earlier before the show, and you told me that it's definitely important to experience, outside of 285 at some point
Yes,
of your life if you are raised in Atlanta.
sure.
So you spent quite a lot of time overseas, man. Where were you during that time?
I spent time in South Africa. Like I told you, my stepdad worked for I don't know if I told you, the Centers for Disease Control, and he got a contract with USAID, which took us on a 2-year tour to Pretoria, South Africa. My family was only supposed to stay there for 2 years. My little brother, and my mom and dad and I. And it ended up being 8 years because we loved the
Wow.
experience so much. My little sister, Saisana, was born there, so she has dual citizenship, and living in Africa is a whole book. It taught me so many things, but most importantly, I think living in Africa and living overseas gave me like a global worldview that I still carry to this day. Being able to talk to an Italian, somebody from Korea, or even somebody from the west side of Atlanta, being able to hold a conversation with anybody.
Yeah, so when it comes to, going and experiencing years of living in South Africa, I know a lot of people from West Africa. They say that, we should go back to the motherland to really get a hold of our roots and really find out, really how black people live, whenever there's not, I guess, a boot under our neck, so to say. So I think that, it's great that you were able to get that experience. How was your experience just living with your people? And I know you said there's a vast amount of people in South Africa, but, just going back and connecting with your roots, man, how was that?
It was fantastic. I graduated from high school in 2004 from the American International School of Johannesburg. I loved just a little bit about South Africa. It's called the Rainbow Nation. There are 13 national languages, including Zulu, Tswana, Ndebele, and Afrikaans, which is a white language. So to answer your question, living in Africa, it taught me that we are truly a diasporic people, meaning we come from a diaspora and we're all so different. Africans behave different than Jamaicans, behave different than Americans, who all share similar hues of skin. I also noticed a huge disconnect between the melanated American and the melanated African. And, part of my work was bridging the gap in between the people of melanin and finding the roads to which we could all come to where we could truly unite. And that's such a challenge, but it's such an interesting thing to play with.
Yeah, and in 2010, you got your degree from Morehouse in English literature.
Yes.
You were definitely trying to bridge that gap through teaching.
Right.
However, at some point, that path kind of changed. And could you go into when that path changed and why you transitioned into being an artist?
Absolutely. So, to be honest with you, I got my degree in English literature, and I actually went into sales. My whole thing was, I just got this degree, but we need to make money. And I went into sales. I spent a lot of time in corporate America. From there, people said, well, you're so good at speaking and you're such a leader. We need black educators. And I had my first son around that time. And so I was around children and babies, and I had a natural knack for relating and taking care of small children. So I started off being a preschool teacher in early childhood education, teaching 4 and 5-year-olds, and worked my way up to an elementary school teacher. But at a certain point, I thought, man, you know what? This is why teachers are never artists, because they're so busy teaching others that they don't have the energy to pour into their own art. Teaching is so demanding and it can be so draining. You give so much. So I decided, man, I have two choices. I can either, teach in this classroom, or I can go down the path of becoming an artist, and I can be a lifelong teacher, and I can just teach everywhere, but it's not necessarily going to be to these kids in this class. And I thought to myself, you know what? Teaching is a calling. I'll be teaching whether I'm hired by a school system or not. And I said, I want to be an artist. I think I want to make statements that the whole world can learn and relate from, rather than just the students in my classroom.
Yeah. Was there a moment that kind of led you to that, or was it just like continuous moments building up to
Yeah,
it?
it was. The moments were me not being able to be an artist. I'm a visual artist, as I explained to you, and I used to go to a studio session every Wednesday night where I would draw nude figures. Figure drawing is what it's called. It's one of the first thing that artists learn, is how to draw the human figure, and it was on a Wednesday night. And I noticed when I became a teacher, I couldn't participate. I was too busy grading papers, preparing for parent-teacher conferences, doing my anchor chart for the next day and lesson plans. And no matter how much I tried to move my time around, I missed the studio. And I was kind of like dying inside, because my creative outlet, there was no longer any juice behind it. So the decision was, when I realized I couldn't go to the studio if I was a teacher, even if I tried my hardest, I was like, nah, I love going to the studio. I'm gonna make a transition, and I'm gonna still teach, but it's not gonna hamper me from being an artist.
Okay, word. Well, I definitely want to get more so into your journey and your themes within your poems as an artist. But before we go into that, man, I'm ready to hear this first piece you got for us, man. So before we get into it, bro, you want to introduce it, or you want to preview it at all?
Absolutely. The first piece that I'll be reciting here on the Spotlight Poetry is going to be a piece called The Fourth. I wrote this piece in about 3 years ago, in 2023, and it was developed from a Facebook post that I actually wrote in 2016. The Facebook post was in response to my pastor, who was promoting the 4th of July to the congregation, kind of like a barbecue kind of thing, just to the congregation. And I just thought it was kind of peculiar that my spiritual leader and my pastor and my bishop was promoting the 4th of July. So after I thought about it, I went home and I wrote a Facebook post. But apparently the post sat in my spirit, grew legs, and developed into a poem. So that's what I'm going to do for you today.
Wow. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage Jordan Brown with his piece, The Fourth.
Well, before we get to hear this next piece, I want to give a quick shout out to Wit Media, the creative director and videographer for the Spotlight. If you need your vision to come to life, he can make it happen. So make sure you hit up Wit Media. Now, let's get to the poem.
The Fourth. Why do blacks celebrate the 4th of July when our people weren't free until 1865? White people pop shit 1776. That's when they stopped getting taxed by the goddamn Brits. But when George Washington signed that declaration, the very next morning, blacks walked onto a plantation. The irony. Most fireworks get popped in the hood. I wonder if they know, historically, this day ain't good. It was 2016 when I finally woke up, and I realized America never gave a fuck. That summer, Phil and Alton were killed by police. One outside the store, the other in his Jeep. Both men barely committed a crime. It was a slave catcher, my bad, a police officer that determined it was their time. And why? Simple. A life is less valued if it's black. And Glocks snap back as opposed to whips getting cracked. There was anger, there was outrage, but just a few days later, blacks rushed to retailers to give the Walton family their paper. Filling up their carts with meat and fireworks to celebrate the 4th. I mean, the shit kind of hurts. At the very least, it irks any black with common sense. They tricked us for generations. I just gave the evidence. It's well documented they gave us holidays disguised as rest to distract us from the fact that we're being oppressed. And look at us now, 300 years later, thinking we're doing something because we can spend a little paper. Why is it that blacks go so hard for every day that's not our own? St. Patrick's Day and Cinco, millions get blown. But Juneteenth, minimal celebration thrown. Things that make you go, while living in Babylon. The 4th. Peace.
Great job, boss man. Go ahead, take another seat, my man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man. I always love hearing that piece, man.
Love it.
Listen,
Yes,
way to lock in too, boss man.
Thank you, man. It's important to engage and give that emotion every time.
Yeah, for sure. Now, one thing I do want to mention is that, you know, there was once upon a time where you weren't too fond of poetry. You know, you may have called it a bit corny or pompous.
Yes.
You know, when did that switch flip for you to where you realized, you know, you were a poet?
Great question. Yeah, I used to have this theme where I would say I thought poetry was corny until I realized I was the realest poet. And it came from, you know, watching movies and media and even going to poetry events, and the poets would try to use the biggest words possible. It just felt like it was trying to bounce these big words, and I respected their verbal agility, but I just felt like they were doing too much. And I read this quote one time that says, you know, an intellect takes something simple and says it in a complicated way, but an artist takes something that's very complex and takes it says it in a simple way. So I thought, that's what I want to do. I want to take things that are very, very complex, but I don't want to sound over the top. I want to make it relatable to anybody, even if they don't have a PhD education. And so that's what I thought was corny, like the over verbal gymnastics. And that's when I thought, okay, they have their lane and I have mine. I'm going to take everything, because again, I did go to Morehouse, so it wasn't that I wasn't intellectual, but I wanted to kind of simplify things. And once I realized that every poet has a role in the community, because without the complicated, the simple wouldn't stand out.
Exactly.
So we all need each other.
Yeah, and you know, especially if you do want to be able to make that bridge for people, to show people a lot of the themes in your poems are about black love, black liberation, and you know, just freeing ourselves as a people. For sure. And you need to be able to communicate with all types of black people, not just the bourgeoisie.
Absolutely.
So, you know, what type of message are you trying to send with your poems?
Well, great question again. Being a Morehouse graduate, a melanated black man in America, black love, black family, and black liberation, those were the main elements that my art centered around. Not only my poetry, but my visual art as well. Even drawing and painting the black figure, the black woman. So for so long, art is, even the art that I studied that got me interested, focused on the white woman. So just all things black, as Jay-Z would say, all black everything, right? That's important to me. But also, as I grow as a poet, not writing poetry that's prompted like a writing prompt, but writing poetry that truly comes from life. Issues on reciprocation, issues on being recognized, issues on what happens when you don't feel validated by your community. These are all things I'm going through right now, and I'm sure others go through, and somebody's got to write a poem that other people that don't write and don't speak can latch onto and feel like, that's what I want to say.
Yeah, for sure, man. How do you compare performing live on stage and creating on a canvas with your art? How would you compare expressing both of those emotions?
So different. When I'm on stage, the actor Jordan Brown comes out. The thespian Jordan Brown comes out. The great orator, like a Martin Luther King Jordan Brown comes out. But when I'm drawing and painting on the canvas, it's such a private experience. I might be naked. I might be in my room. I might be smoking, drinking. There's no telling the circumstances, but it's not performative. It's just me. And when I try to create my pieces, I'm putting all my energy into creating the most beautiful work I can. It's all about beauty for me. Mm-hmm. When I perform poetry and I'm on stage, it's not always pretty. It can be ugly and violent sometimes or make people uncomfortable. So those are the differences. The poetry is raw and it can be ugly or pretty, but that artwork, that visual art, I try my best to always make sure it's always pretty.
Yeah, man. And, you said something just a little bit ago about reciprocity.
Yes.
Just how would you go about, or how do you think that poets, we can go about, not only just, receiving the love we get from others, but also being able to give that same love to others as well. And, either, whether it's criticism, whether it is, expressing how that poem made you feel, what does reciprocity, what does that mean to you?
Great question. What it means to me is, I'll give you an example. I met you, I think, at the Circle Poetry Experience here in Atlanta. Mm-hmm. And, which I loved, a great love and a great community. But before I performed as a poet at the Circle, I actually went as a guest for about 1.5 to 2 years. And I just listened to other poets. And that's what reciprocity is to me, is poets being an audience member, clapping and snapping for somebody else, showing up and listening for everybody else, purchasing a book. Just don't go there just to be heard, but also go there to lend your ear to somebody else that needs to be heard. That's so important because, again, as a child, my dad, and this was in Africa as well, my father took me to jazz clubs and concerts. I seen Janet Jackson. I saw Dead Prez. I saw all these great performers. And before I was an artist, guess what I was? A fan. And so for me, being a reciprocity is, don't forget that before you became this artist that people listen to and sometimes pay to see you, you were a fan first. And so just never forget that.
That's big facts, man. Listen, I want to talk a little bit more about, you got a brand, Dismantle.
Yes, I came up with that brand in 2020 after the murder of Breonna Taylor. And you asked about my visual art, and just like my poetry, I want to make big statements. I came up with the statement, dismantle white supremacy. I felt like if Breonna Taylor that wouldn't have happened to anybody else but a black woman. If an Asian person wouldn't get shot 20 times in their house. A white person has never been shot 30 times in their house. A Greek person has never been shot 30 times inside their house. This is facts while their boyfriend's there. But a black woman, this could happen too. So I thought, why is that? And the system was white supremacy. So I felt like I'm going to use my art to take down these systems. And I drew a picture of a black fist, and I put it on T-shirts and stickers, and I spread it all over Atlanta. And I thought I would get a great partnership deal from a company like Puma or something, but then I realized most of these companies are white. They're probably not going to partner with me for this brand.
Yeah.
So that was one of my risks that I took, where I was like, you know what, I'm probably not going to make a dime off this art, but it still needs to be out there.
Wow, man. And you have a book upcoming as well, right?
Yes, sir. My long-awaited collection of poetry and my first published book will be out this year, 2026, called Consuming. I'm so excited. The manuscript has been done, but I just have not released. And for me, there's never been a rush. I just feel like the perfect moment is waiting. And but what I have to give to the world in this first offering is so special, to feel the feeling of what it's like to be consumed as an artist. If you're not one, you're going to know after picking up my book, Consuming.
All right, word, man. Well, listen, dude, I definitely appreciated our conversation, big dog. Before you go up there and do your second piece, can you tell the people where they can find you and where they can keep up with your work and your artwork, your poetry, everything, man?
Absolutely. My name is Jordan Brown. I go by Favor 178. I go by The Fly Artist. I also go by Mr. Dismantle. I also go by JB the Poet. You can find me on Instagram at Favor178. That's at Favor178. You can also find me, my visual art, exclusively on Instagram at JB_fine arts. That's JB_fine arts. Please follow me.
Yes, and I definitely would have shown some of your art as well, but I'm not gonna lie, like, don't let the kiddies see it, okay? Like, it's figure art for a reason, all right? Absolutely. But before we head into this second piece, do you want to preview this one, or you want to hop right into it?
This one right here, I'm gonna give you a piece. I kind of previewed it. with the book. It's the title piece of my book, Consuming. It comes from a poem which I wrote to describe how it would feel to fall in love with art. I recognized that there was a spirit of art, and she was a woman. And when I fell in love with art, she consumed me. It was like a relationship, and I was consumed by the spirit of art. So I wrote the piece that I'm going to deliver next, Consuming.
All right, thank you very much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Jordan Brown with his second piece, Consuming.
Consuming. Art is consuming, but not like a fire. No. Kind of like a girl you're in love with. She's all you can think about. She's all you can do. She'll take all your money. She'll take all your energy. And you'll love it. Altered brain chemistry. And those around you won't get it. But it won't matter. That's your passion. She's got you completely. Mind, body, and soul. And if she had her way, she would never let you go. She is consuming. Peace.
Great job, man.
Man, guys, what a powerful, powerful piece right there. Go ahead and comment down below which line touched you the most. Make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit the bell notification so you can be notified when we have more episodes of The Spotlight coming up. Now back to the show.
Heard him first on his amazing cold open piece. We're about to get into his incredible story of perseverance, self-love, and a lot more things, man. His name is Tremaine Payne, but you guys can call him the Great Conductor. Yes. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Hey, how's it going, boss man?
I'm good. How we doing?
Yeah, man, I'm doing good. Hold on, let me just go
Yep, get your little sip on. Get your sip on.
get my sip. That was crucial right there, man. But yeah, man, you looking good today, boss man. How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good.
Go ahead, yeah. Bring the
Feeling
mic
good,
close up.
feeling
There you
good.
go. Yeah, I want the people to hear you, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, firstly, man, I want to know, bro, what does the name The Great Conductor represent for you?
Oh man, it's the power that's greater than me. It's the thing that people see that I perform with that has guided me, right? And so it's just that it's that energy that's greater than me that guides me has been guiding me through my life and continues to guide me. That gives me the courage to get up and say the things that I actually say that, some people might consider vulnerable.
I mean, well, yeah, dude, listen, I remember one of my first conversations with you that I can remember at For the Soul, Poetry for the Soul. Mm-hmm. You said that in order for you to have, the best type of art, the best type of poetry, it needs to be fully authentic.
Yeah.
And you got to be fully honest with yourself. Mm-hmm. So I really do respect that self-awareness and vulnerability that you do have up on stage whenever you do perform.
Appreciate you.
You come from you're from Seattle, right?
So I was born in Seattle. I was adopted, so I was in foster care at about 1. Mm-hmm. When I was 3, I actually moved down to Florida to my aunt and uncles. They were. I was going to a bunch of different foster care places. Mm-hmm. Apparently, I was a child that wasn't easy to take care of, so to speak. So I bounced around, and so my aunt and uncle were finally like, "All right, well, we'll come get them if y'all got to move them again." And so they came and got me when I was 3. Formally adopted me when I was 5. That's when we moved here.
Word. So you've really been in Georgia most of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Hey, what part of Georgia you from?
So we moved to Lithonia. Lithonia, Stone Mountain, out that way.
Word, the East Side. A lot of East Side poets, man, and a lot of the themes about your poetry, they do have to do with abandonment, mm-hmm. addiction, mm-hmm. Also self-love, and mm-hmm. like I said, that perseverance. Mm-hmm. Could you share some of the experiences that led to some of those themes in the poetry?
Life experience. I know for me growing up, So I was, like I said, I was adopted, and when I came down when I was 3, my sister was actually with my aunt and uncle. For about a year or so, and then my birth mom came back and got my sister, and kind of, they kind of let me be. And so just that process of growing up with that feeling of abandoned, right? And then I come from drug addicted parents. I was adopted by a chemistry professor and a psychology professor. They had no clue what to do with what they had because we didn't understand each other, right? I was dealing with and feeling a whole bunch of things that they didn't dream of and didn't necessarily weren't equipped to. I always tell my dad, it's like, he showed up with like a broomstick to a gunfight. So,
that's not a good match right there, man.
It was not, but I appreciate him because he still showed up every day.
Yeah, man.
Right.
One of my favorite quotes from you is, you were talking about how you've learned to manage your emotions throughout your life. Early on in your life, whenever emotions were high and you felt upset, one of the ways you just handle it was burn it down.
Burn it down.
That's
right. What's it here for? Light it on fire. Right?
Yeah.
And that's,
Well, when did you start to transition out of that mindset where, because you can't just burn everything down, right?
Yeah, you can.
I guess you can't. You can burn everything down. It's not
wise.
good.
It's not wise. It's something that I'm still learning. Okay. Because when you practice a behavior for, 20 years of your life, so to speak, it's kind of a default, right? And so you kind of have to learn with every new situation how to handle it different. Every new emotion, how to handle it, or old emotion, how to handle this one different this time. And so I've gotten to where I don't get so self-destructive, right? Getting to the other side of the feeling. So I would say probably 4 or 5 years since it's been to that point. But life is ebb and flows, right? So life, you always experience different stuff. It's something new, right? So tomorrow potentially may bring up a whole new situation. We're getting where our parents are getting older, so you have that, right?
Yeah.
And all those things. Going through my divorce, that was a whole different level of having to deal with that. And I blew it up at that moment.
Yeah, well, how did writing help you be able to process these emotions?
It brought them to the light because I'm a stuffer. I'm a person who, once it gets down into the hole, it's not. I don't know how to bring it back up, and the only way I can bring it back up is to write.
Oh man!
Because I write with my heart, not my brain. I don't think about anything that I write. I have no clue what it's going to look like. I just write. So everything you hear me say is always basically a freestyle with a pen. I don't stop. It's one way through. That's what it was. That's how it came out. That's what it is.
Dog, I can't imagine trying to pull everything up out of that hole though, man.
So if I showed you my phone, I have 985 poems.
Oh my goodness. That's almost a 1K. You right on the cusp, man. Dog, that's incredible, dog. When did when did you start writing poetry?
So 8th grade, Mr. Stevens, he taught us how to write poetry in some class, and I was dealing with so much internal that I just began to write, right? And then I stopped when I was about 17, and believe it or not, I picked it back up 2 years ago.
Yeah, well, much like Jordan, you definitely have used art, drawing as a way to, have that therapeutic release too. And I'm definitely going to get into a lot of that as well and how you're teaching people to be able to, process and those emotions themselves. But before then, we're going to go ahead and get into your second piece of the day. Do you want to preview it or you want to just hop right into it?
I just like to hop right in.
All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the stage the great Conductor for his second piece.
My name is Tremaine, and I'm an addict. And I gotta say I came about it honestly. Where the heroin and the cocaine flowed through my system, From the dick I came out of to the pussy I went into, I was high the whole time. For the whole ride. All 7 months I was drugged up. You know we got this thing at the end of every NA meeting where we pray for the babies who didn't have a choice in the matter. And every time I couldn't help but think that they were praying for me. When I was too high to know that prayer was even a thing. You see, I've got a disease. That means when left with the choice between ice cream and cake, I chose crack. Because I really wasn't sure which one I wanted, but I also found out that crack was awesome. So since I couldn't have the best of both worlds, I might as well have something that'll make me not want neither one of them. Can I say it again just a little bit more honest? That means when left with the choice between life and death, I chose crack. Because that was the only thing that made it okay to pick either one of them. I said I got a disease, y'all. You see, it lies in my mind and it lies all the time. And if I'm honest with you, it's just a little bit easier to sit with myself when I'm high. Makes the unbearable bearable. Because I have a dis-ease with me. But I really blame everything on you. See, maybe if my mom and dad didn't leave me, I would have been a doctor or a lawyer, something other than a foster kid who stared out the window and wondered, where did they go? And if they would ever come back, I didn't know. See, I remember saying they'll be back tomorrow until tomorrow never came. I mean, it came, it just didn't come for me. You see, that's where my mom came and got my sister, said I'm going to let that little nigga be. Truthfully, it's because I think I reminded her a little bit too much like my daddy. But that was the day I dropped them all in a hole so deep, nothing that went in would ever be seen again. To this day, I can't find the fucks to care. But I remember they used to be there. That's actually where I dropped all types of shit. But I couldn't quite get rid of my fear of abandonment. You know that thing that haunts me in the inner workings of my being, where I put on a mask of being all confident but frightened in between the seams, where I run in between the scenes, a different version of me in every picture you see? I told you I got a disease. The only disease that tells you don't have it, as if it has all the answers to all of my questions like, what's the key to life? Get high. What do I do with these emotions that I have inside? Get high. If a needle to the arm is the answer, then what the fuck are the questions that I'm asking it? Like insanity, walking around asking stupid questions. How can I escape my feelings? How can I get close enough to death but not tip over the edge? And some days I jumped and the quicksand sunk, but it never quite sank deep enough. I told you, my name is Tremaine. I'm an addict. I have a disease. They say there's no cure, but if I stop running from fear, if I come into the light, if I'm honest with you about my own plight, because what's done in the dark will soon come to the light. So I sacrifice my darkness, and I give it to you, and I ask, okay, so now what are we going to do about this mess that I created out of the discomfort of my own existence? And y'all tell me it's simple. See, you've been practicing dying. All you got to do is start practicing living. Don't pick it up and you can get through those feelings one day at a time. And if you have to break it down, you can even take it 1 second for now. Boom.
Hi, my name is Unique, but this is for the soldiers who don't wear camouflage or dress blues, who never went to boot camp but still learned to empty the body of their enemies with immunity. Whether you served on the south side of Atlanta, Georgia, or like my family, the north side of Memphis, Tennessee. And you're watching The Spotlight.
Man. Whew. I gotta let it breathe for a little bit, man. I will say my favorite line from that piece is, you've been practicing dying. So now you got to practice living.
Yes.
And, you know, you've mentioned before writing yourself free.
Yes.
How do you go about the process of writing yourself free? Did you go through that process with this piece?
Yes. I would say I go through that process with every piece. Because, you know, like I say, when I sit and I write, it's digging back inside of me, into that hole is what's coming out, right? Because I don't allow myself to think about it. The the For me, the therapeutic part of it, right, is when I'm able to share it. Okay, it better allows me to accept me. For a long time, I thought I was, worthless. I thought I was a monster. I thought I was a bunch of things for a bunch of different reasons. But writing and actually being able to get on stage and share it, and nobody runs out, right? And it's helpful to people, helps me to forgive myself, helps me to love myself, helps me to accept myself. And then the other part of it is, it was either, I spent a lot of my life using dope or locked up. So it was like, Tremaine, the only way you're going to build a life worth living is you got to actually build a life worth living. And so I get that through doing my poetry.
Yeah, and this was that piece. To my knowledge, that was the first official video that you've dropped, correct?
Yep. First video.
And so, is it the same when you created that music video first, the process of creating it, but also now that it's released, is it that same type of feeling? You get to release it artistically on stage, but also now you have it visually where you have the scenes of you being in the NA meeting. You have, in your mind, bringing that thought of the noose around your neck coming to life. Just talk about the process of creating that video and how it's made you feel since its release.
So I'm a spirit man, right? And so however it comes in my spirit with all the videos that I do, is kind of how I see it. It's just, we see what happens, right? And it's amazing just to be able to watch, because a year ago, because I don't think I've been actually live performing for a year yet. I would have never even thought, right? Would have never even thought. And so it's freeing, right? And also exciting, to be able to have something that people can see and relate to in different ways, right? I've gotten a lot of conversation or feedback, not even so much from addicts, but people whose parents are addicts, people whose brother or sister or husband. And it shines a little bit more light into exactly their side or our side of where we're coming from, so to speak, that I believe helps the family unit, in essence, heal.
Yeah, and that's not the only video you have planned. You have talked about your want to, have more cinematic type of poetry experiences. Can you go in a bit deeper about that?
So I'm waiting on the second one. We recorded the second one, which was my piece Virus. So I'm waiting on that one to come back, and but yeah, I want to bring it to life. Basically sharing my story in a way that is almost cinematic in bits and pieces, right? And so eventually I want to do something greater, but because my poetry is the way that it is, I want to bring it to life.
Yeah, and you have plenty of books as well, correct?
Yes.
I know you have coloring books, but you're definitely helping people heal throughout many mediums, not just in poetry, man.
Yes.
Can you go a bit deeper into the books that you have right now?
So the first is basically all of them are in some way, shape, or form interactive coloring books. So we have The Art of Becoming. That one is more poetic with an image. It's more so, for me, for example, it helps with the sit down of the transition of change. Because to be or to become somebody different, I have to do something different.
Yeah.
And so
we got that book right here, The Art of Becoming.
That's right. And so it has a poem for every image that you color with. You read the poem, kind of sit with it. And it helps you through the transformation, right? And so transformation of emotions.
Yes, and right here, yeah, you see the poems right here. You see my artistic, I can color a little bit,
can.
Yeah, yeah, you know.
Oh snap!
What I liked about it is, like you said, every color represents a different type of
feeling.
emotion.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And so there's a coloring chart in there that lets you know it.
Yeah, there's also a part where, like, there's different things where right here it asks you to reflect, and so it's not just the coloring aspect of it. You're also therapeutically, like, writing out your feelings while you're coloring, and yeah, man. But you also have one specifically for father daughter as well.
So we've got a complete set now.
Okay.
We've got father daughter, we've got father son, we've got mama and her kids. And those are interactive. They have 10 questions for each image. That is really just set to be able to have conversations, to get an understanding of each other, where you guys are, what it was like for you, for example, growing up, or in certain situations, how we handled it, more than just us telling our children.
Yeah.
I'm a lecturer. I get that from my dad. He's a lecturer. And so it's real easy to get stuck in that.
Yeah.
Right. But what this does is I found, especially with my daughter, is it allows us to sit at the same table on the same field outside of a situation and gain understanding. And it helps me learn how to actually deal with her to get whatever it is accomplished that I'm trying to get accomplished.
Yeah, man. What has fatherhood, shown you, in regards to how has it influenced your creativity in terms of your art and just your regular life as well?
Man, fatherhood is a journey. Journey into the unknown, right? Into the abyss. Especially with my daughter. And I'm having the ability to do it two ways because I have a son that's in Seattle. That I wasn't really able to be a part of his life. And it's all of my own doing, right? And so with my daughter, I get to do it different. So it's a blessing in that I get to show up, for her in all of the ways. And especially dealing with a young lady, it's totally different. So another part of this was allowing myself to get better in my own communication, because to where I could say things to where she'll understand it and not daddy's yelling. I don't be yelling, but she still think I be yelling. So,
Yeah, you gotta find that bridge. You want to be firm, but you don't want her to be scared of you.
Correct, gentle, and so it's a gentle firmness that you have to learn. But it's amazing, man.
That's awesome. Well, my last question for you is, for anybody that's watching right now that may feel like they're broken, that may feel like they're lost, what message do you have for them?
Don't give up. And you're not really alone, even though you might feel alone. I think that's the biggest thing, is understanding that I'm not alone, even though I may feel alone. And to speak up. Just speak up.
Yeah, man. Well, definitely my biggest takeaway from our conversation is that growth is a lifelong journey. It takes one step at a time. Like you said in your piece, 1 second at a time. So never give up on yourself. Always believe that a better day is ahead. All you got to do is put the work in and put the intention behind making yourself better if you do feel lost in any type of way. But it's a lot easier said than done. And you have done a lot of the hard work, and I'm definitely glad to have met you. I'm definitely glad you showed up on the spotlight, man.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. Can you tell the people where they can find you and your upcoming work?
So you can catch me on my website at thegreatconductor.com. You can also catch me on IG at _greatconductor. And everything else, you can just type in The Great Conductor, all other platforms.
All right, awesome, man. Well, listen, for your last piece, do you have a preview for us at all? Do you know what you want to do for your last piece?
Questions for a Motherless Mom. It's going to be the last piece I'm going to do. I'm just going to give you the title.
Okay, word. Well, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome for his last piece, the great Conductor.
All right, before we get to the next piece, I want to give a quick shout out to Fawn Moore. He has done photography for the Spotlight for the past 2 seasons. He's done photography for poets and performers from all around the country, all around the world. So if you need your moment captured, make sure you hit up Fawn Moore. Now back to the next poem.
Mom, I never called you that. But since you're gone, I'm going to try this one time to see if it improves my confidence. While I ask you these questions that's been on my mind for a long time, why? Why did your shooting star not collide with the wishes I made upon them? Why were you the moon to my daylight and the sun that hides at nighttime? There was no more intoxication. There was no more obvious reasons why it took 18 years for me to see you. What did I lack? What was I missing? How could you take one and leave the other? How could you not pick up the phone? Just to say, I'm sorry I let you go? What do you think, in death that you get to escape the questions of this mess? I watched as everyone cried as they dropped you into the ground. Not me, though. I said goodnight a long time ago. I never asked you why. I wish I could say because of grace, but no. It was just my anger displaced. The mirror was the only thing that I could blame, and it's not fair that you can't reply, but we're here now. It wasn't fair that you gave me up and disappeared, but that was then. Now, I'm still trying to forgive something I've forgotten. My default is still, I'm not enough. I'm just here to ask the questions that can't be answered and doesn't even matter. All that matters is that I ask, where's my dad? I mean, before he was dead. Before he was murdered in the prison cell they threw him under. Can I see a picture? You didn't think to save one since you think I look just like him? Didn't think to get an address that maybe I want to address him with the same questions I'm asking you? Maybe both of your ghosts will finally show up. So I don't have to keep playing this song over and over in my head with the world's smallest violin telling myself to shut up. You are not a kid. But the therapist said, it's your inner child that you haven't figured out how to calm down. And I try to tell him I'm here for him, but with the frown, he screams aloud, I want my mom and my dad, and I scream, you ain't got none, suck it up, buttercup. I guess I used the bat and not the feather, because this parenting stuff is way harder. But I guess that's what happens when you came from the same daughter, missing the same father. Maybe we could just cuddle each other, since we can't ask them together. And God acts like he don't hear. So I guess the only thing that I can really do is be there for mine so I can answer their questions when it's time.
Excellent job, Mr. Conductor. Thank you so much to the great Conductor and Jordan Brown for appearing on this episode of The Spotlight. And we are at the end. Make sure you guys go ahead and comment down below your favorite parts from this episode. Give this episode a like and subscribe and hit that bell notification so you can be notified when we have another one dropping. Next time on The Spotlight, we're going to be having Dime hosting once again as she interviews Jada and Bria Latrice. But until then, I'll see you guys next time on The Spotlight. Peace.
This was in the Hiller coming to you live and direct. Growing up in Brownsville and then growing up in a Spanish household is like a big culture shock.
Wagwan. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm extremely nervous. I don't even know if I should have it this close.
She had hips like poetry, full of unsaid lines, Hips that sway like truth between fault lines.
I puff a spliff right in the jiff, I'm feeling zen. I disappeared for months, they asking where you been. Shit.
Well, guys, we are wrapping up another episode of The Spotlight. Thank you guys for watching. Go ahead and let us know what your favorite part of the show was down in those comments. But make sure you hit the like button, hit that subscribe, hit that bell notification, because we're going to have more episodes of The Spotlight coming up. So we want you to know about it. But until then, I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.